Hey guys, welcome back to American Adventure. In today's episode, I'm going to be building a miniature golf course themed to American landmarks. So it's been a while since I've touched this map, so I wanted to start off with a small project to kind of get the ball rolling. So the first things first is to build a couple buildings for the entrance of the miniature golf course, and this is where you would get your golf clubs and your balls. And then you go on to a 9 courses because I didn't want to do 18 because that's way too much, so I did 9, and that's what I did. So it's so funny because while working on this, I didn't realize that Construction Anarchy got an update. I think I'm right on this, and it was added to the option to rescale every single piece in the game has been added. So I used the what these are called pyramid pieces and did them on, I resized them down to 0.50, and then they sit on a single grid piece now, and I love how they look now. They kind of, I didn't realize that Construction Anarchy got this ability, so it was actually really cool. So I did that, and then the first thing that needs to happen is a sign that says Landmarks of America. That's important too. And then, yeah, as I use shapes, I use some of the corner pieces. I use the wooden walls here. And then the medieval banners for American flags, kind of, or kind of like American decorational stuff. And then I wanted to say Landmarks of America and then paint those in red, white, and blue. And then miniature golf or mini golf at the bottom kind of suggests that this is a miniature golf course in the back. So the first hole to work on is I want to do the Golden Gate Bridge as our opening, and then I had also forethought of being the last hole being Statue of Liberty. So it's either ends of the coasts of the country. So you have the west coast to the east coast. That was kind of my vision in my head. And so I went for that. This is kind of the first time for me to work on something like a golf course, which is like abnormal for me. I don't know. It's not a ride. It's scenery, but it's like making miniature scenery or miniature buildings and stuff like that to kind of suggest what we do. I did a lot of research on a couple videos on YouTube. I watched a couple of golf courses and things like that. I found a whole bunch of pictures and other themed like miniature golf places, and some of them had Golden Gate bridges that didn't work out for me, but I wanted to make this type of, you actually get to cross the Golden Gate Bridge, which I don't think this would be realistic, but I kind of like the idea of it. So I used the skeleton prop for guest height so I can make sure that it would work, and then made the bridge basically out of shapes and pillars, cubes to be exact, kind of get that shape of the Golden Gate Bridge. And then I used the high pitch fantasy borders for the cables of the bridge. I did that too. And also in this whole like build, I used a lot of shapes to cover up corners of pathways to get the curved stuff that I wanted, the curved paths. So I did this in a Parkitect University episode, so if you're curious how that actually works more in detail, you can check that out. But I basically used the same technique here. Painting the shapes the same color as the grass so that it blends in, it turns invisible, and then I went from there. So on to the second hole would be, I wanted to go basically down the coast, so I went from San Francisco to LA, or like Hollywood. So I went for the Hollywood Hills with the sign that says Hollywood on the mountainside. I think that worked out pretty well. That's kind of what I wanted to do here. Yeah, and then interlaying rocks and painting them green as grass to kind of give that suggestion that is the rolling Hollywood Hills. Yeah, it looks good here so far. And then the letters are all separate to kind of suggest that they're kind of built on the side of the mountain. And then added a little tunnel, and I resized the stone arch from the medieval pack, which is really cool. I can resize that now. And yeah, I was surprised that Construction Anarchy got this update. I knew it had it. Like, in the back of my head, I knew it existed, but I just never thought to play with it. And in this round, I did. I played with it. It was actually fun. So on to the third hole maybe soon. Yeah, we're going to get to that one as I continue to add more details and things like that. You can see on the floor I did some terrain paint with dirt to kind of suggest where the position of each hole would go, each course, and that's kind of what I gave myself a little template to kind of follow. I suggest you do the same if you're working on projects like this. You just give yourself a layout, and it just helps with planning. Honestly, it helps a lot with planning. So this one is going to be themed to Route 66. This one's very plain and not the best thought out, in my opinion. I think I could have worked a little bit harder to do it, but I just changed the course from green to black to simulate asphalt, and then there's a road ends up at the hole, and then I added a sign that says Route 66. So it's not the best one, but miniature golf courses are very plain in some cases. I've looked at a lot, and depending on the budget of that park or whatever entertainment venue is having a miniature golf, everybody's different. So I kind of gave myself a break on it, and I was kind of like, I'm being very critical with myself, but it still suggests what it is, and you can kind of tell it's Route 66. And then on top of that, I wanted to maybe have the background with the Grand Canyon behind it, so it's kind of like a combination of two holes in one. So it's I think that's number 3 and number 4. So 3 is Route 66 and number 4 is Grand Canyon, which are basically in the same states. I know Route 66 goes through a whole bunch of different states, and then so does the Grand Canyon. So it was kind of a mix. I don't know. I was trying something. So on to the next one I really was excited to do was Mount Rushmore. And this one didn't turn out what I had in my head because I had to make human faces. So this was the hard part, was trying to figure out how to do human faces in such a small scale and with shapes and stuff. So I don't know. This one was weird. I think this one worked out. So I did the mountain range first to kind of position it off an angle. I didn't want to have the golf course go through it like I did with the Hollywood sign, so I kind of have it set up, and it kind of makes this wall separating you and the Golden Gate Bridge, so there's a separation, which is fine, because these props that I'm building are quite gigantic. If you think about it, in reality, props for like a miniature golf should be pretty small, that a human can like stand next to them or not be overburdened. These are tall. These are very tall structures. So let me remember correctly who's the presidents on this mountain. I know it's George Washington, Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, and I think Lincoln. Fact check me on this because I think I'm correct. I'm not gonna even go Google it. I think I know who's on there. So again, I think it's George Washington, Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, and Lincoln. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments. But I think I'm correct on that. So I kind of I suggest which one's which. So you can kind of tell, like with George, he has the curl hair like from the, I don't know, colonial times. And then Jefferson kind of matches that same theme. So I use the whipped cream piece as a different type of hairstyle. Then I use bushes for Theodore Roosevelt's hair, and then glasses because he wears glasses. And then Lincoln was kind of a hard one because Lincoln doesn't have his iconic hat on, which I didn't realize. I don't know why I imagined that he had a hat on, but he doesn't have a hat on at all. So I tried to do his beard out of the whipped cream piece again and add some shoulder pieces, but Lincoln wasn't finished yet. Most of Mount Rushmore is not finished, actually. It was project was halted halfway through. So we're jumping forward to the next hole. This one's going to be the White House. So a miniature version of the White House. The course goes through it, there's going to be a hole where the ball will go through, and then it would bounce around and then come back out the other end, whatever I imagined. Because I want these props to have some interaction with the player and the golf ball, all that stuff. So that's kind of what was in my head. I mean, I used a lot of references from Golf with Friends is a game I've pulled a couple from, well, the main places that I actually pulled most of my references for miniature golf is like little roadside attractions like Golf and Stuff and Boomers. And there's another place I can't remember. I lost it. Regardless, I kind of use that as my reference to figure out how each course should be shaped and how they should be interacting with props. Like here comes after the White House, I did another Independence Hall, so I did a miniature version of that. And there are actually, you can go through Independence Hall, going straight through, or you can go around it. It's up to the player to choose from. I don't think any of my holes have a chance of getting a hole in one at all because how curvy they are, but this whole miniature golf course is a prop anyway, so yeah, I'm not gonna change that necessarily. I did like the little miniature Independence Hall though. It kind of matches the one in the park, so I'm quite happy with the results with this one. Yeah, so I'm just doing some more curved pathing shenanigans because that continues to happen as I progress to the next couple holes. So this one, next one is going to be number 8, I think. Yes, and this one I wanted to do a landmark more on the East Coast, and I wanted to pick something that's like Florida themed. So I picked the shuttle launch bays at NASA in, oh man, I forgot the name. Ooh, I don't remember, but Cape something in Florida, where they have most of the shuttle launches were in Florida. So I opted in just making a shuttle launch pad with the shuttle on it and its boosters and all that good stuff. So I get to build a little shuttle, which I have never done actually yet. I've been thinking about doing like a shuttle themed or a space themed in one of the campaign maps, but I haven't gotten to a point where that map lets me do it. So this is kind of a practice run. But also, because I have Construction Anarchy, I kind of was cheating in some places. Like, I could change some of the sizes of pieces like walls now, which is kind of cool. And so I used the angled wall pieces to make wings, and then I blueprinted and rotated it because I didn't like the position of it, because it didn't look right for the guest to see. And then that's the... I think this is the... No, it's not the only one. There's two courses that go up elevation. And so on to the last one would be based off of, or I'll build a miniature Statue of Liberty. So this kind of completes the tour of America from one coast to the other. So that's kind of this is what I basically do. So I resize some of the roofs again to get some small ramps. And this hole is different because once you get to the Statue of Liberty, the balls go in and they don't come out. So this is kind of a system that makes sure that the balls come back to the park or come back to the golf course management, or they just come back to the beginning. So this is a way to kind of funnel that in, and then the guests will have to walk back to deliver the clubs. I didn't think about that. Oh yeah, wait, my layout is kind of wonky. It's my park. My miniature golf is pretty accurate, but I just realized that they need to deliver the golf clubs back to the attendance window. Maybe maybe I can make a new building on the corner there or something, like a little booth. Yeah, I might do that later on when I get to it. Yeah, there's room actually there. There's just certain trees there. I can just do that. Yeah. So that's the miniature golf course. And so also building in this area, I needed an additional building. And so I thought, wouldn't it be appropriate to have an arcade basically for the hotel? So the hotel provides guests maybe one free golf course and then a couple tickets for their arcade and something to do outside of park hours. Let's say the park closes at, I don't know, 8 or 9 o'clock at night. and then you have nothing else to do, so you go to the resort. So the resort would be the hotel, and the hotel provides spa, pool, maybe a restaurant inside, miniature golf, and then an arcade. So I'm kind of thinking like a real resort here, so that kind of helps kind of fill out the park's corners. But at this point, this side of the map, the complete right side of it, is completely done. I am done and I'm finished. It is perfect. So I'm quite happy where this sits. So this building's just going to mimic what the hotel is. It's kind of a craftsman log cabin look. So a lot of wood, a lot of stone, a lot of plain stucco walls in some cases, or stone walls. So I'm going to do my green roofs, the brown borders, the same as the main Sequoia Suites. And this arcade is going to just be called Redwood Arcade. A very simple, plain name. I don't have to go too crazy with it. And so that's what I did. And it was kind of fun to have Construction Anarchy available again, because I can have more precise placements of pieces. Like, I wanted to make some rock walls for the whole building of the arcade, and that's what I did here. So it looks quite nice. It looks pretty cozy back here, and especially with all the trees, it really feels like a forest back here. Yeah. So I also would imagine that this arcade building would have a snack bar in it as well, because I made some outdoor seating for guests to kind of go out. I'm kind of reminded of Whitewater Snacks at Grand Californian. That's kind of what I'm reminded as. So that's what I did here. Kind of do simple things like that. And then I want to do a simple cutaway to showcase what the arcade would look like inside, kind of. I kind of got lazy at the end because I wanted to finish this up as quickly as I can, or quickly as possible, but that's just me working on something for at least a week or so. But it worked out. What the cool thing about projects like this is, though, even though you're rushing on a section, some of it can be, you can go back to it and work on it again or update it, which is kind of the cool thing about it. It's like model building. Nothing's actually truly done. So in later months or weeks, I can come back to this arcade and fix up again if I wanted to, add some more details, things like that. I could have easily do that down the line. So also with the arcade, I want to make some custom flooring. So I want to do like some retro 80s flooring that an arcade would have. And so I kind of had fun doing this. This was kind of too much fun. So I made a simple square and then placed a whole bunch down, and then it kind of sold the point. It looks like an arcade from here. So then blueprints of these arcade machines out of shapes and cylinders, even though I know there's a mod for it, but I want to make sure that American Adventure is modless as possible to a point, because it's like, when I first started the project, it was supposed to be just Construction Anarchy and vanilla, and then I had to do some support stuff, and then some other rides were modded in, but I only have like five mods in, so I'm happy with the results so far. So we're going to quickly get to building the sign for Redwood Arcade. And this one's just going to be, it's going to say a Redwood Arcade with some miniature trees that have sequoias. And there you go, you got yourself a sign. So we're going to jump on over to the tour of the park, and I'll show you some close-ups of the arcade and the miniature golf. Okay, welcome to Landmarks of America Miniature Golf, or Mini Golf for short. And we're going to take a quick tour around all the landmarks that I built and things like that. I did talk about in the time lapse to build a little hut here. I'll probably do it off camera, but I think I want to add another building like this kind of right here. Actually, I can just blueprint this and rotate it and plop it down so that it's the returning booth for the golf clubs. And I didn't build any golf clubs. I should, but I will maybe do that later as well off camera, but it's kind of a choice I'll do later. But here's the first hole. This is going to be the Golden Gate Bridge, You start here, you hit the ball, it kind of goes down into that one, into the actual hole. And then the second one is our Hollywood sign. I didn't talk about this in the time lapse, but I wanted to do stars like the Walk of Fame in Hollywood, but I wasn't in the mood of making stars, but I wanted to kind of suggest that it's Hollywood, but it didn't happen. Then we go over to hole number 3. This is Route 66. Yeah, I could have done something better with it, but I just couldn't think of something that would work. But again, I'm also trying to think that guests are walking around. I don't want them really interacting with a lot of props, but it's kind of what my thought process was. Here's the Grand Canyon in the back. I like that these two kind of actually share each other's like domain, so it works. I like this one because you have this river here of, I think it's the Colorado River. I think so. I could be wrong. I didn't do my research, but I think it's the Colorado River that goes through the Grand Canyon. I think. Regardless, moving on to the next couple of holes. Let's see. This is the Mount Rushmore. I like this one because it separates. If you look at from above, you have the separation, and I like that. It kind of gives a sense of, as you venture through each area, it kind of just progresses onto, well, it progresses throughout the state, throughout the country, basically. So Mount Rushmore, we bounce over to the White House. I could have added more details to the White House, but I got lazy a little bit. Yeah, I'm trying to get back into the mood of doing more detail stuff, but as I continue on, it's kind of what's going to happen. I'm glad I did this project first, because if I was doing something in the water park, I don't think I would have had anything done at this moment in time, but I wanted to get things done with this small project. So here's Independence Hall. Then we have the space shuttle launch, a little water area, and then the last hole is the Statue of Liberty. I like this one a lot because I got to build this little book. This is actually a diagonal wall that's sized down. I didn't talk about that in the time lapse, but basically it's just a scaled down wall, and actually it's the perfect angle too. It's perfect. So yeah, construction anarchy for the win, especially with the new scaling option. So that's miniature golf up in the corner. You can tell where it sits actually in the park. So we have the dogfight coaster from Victory Field, the pool area of the hotel, and then here's the miniature golf area up in the back corner. So actually it's a perfect spot for it. Kind of fills this area quite nicely. So the last thing I wanted to build over here was a arcade, and this is our Redwood arcade. So this arcade actually, it's probably going to be an arcade and a snack bar of some sort, maybe a convenience store type of thing. So I imagine it would be back here. And then the arcade is all here. So here's the retro looking floor with the arcade cabinets, and then air hockey. Yeah, it just fits perfectly here. I like that it sits right next to the parking lot. So I'm suggesting that there's more parking lot out here, because I can't build all the parking lot. And I finally actually finished all the parking lot out here. So everything out here is finished. And then I have a couple more things here to finish here. But basically the entire right side of the park is finished. Except for this, but I'm going to leave it blank. Maybe add some grass here, just to add some texture. But overall, I think all this side of the map is finished. Now the only thing that I need to work on is now the water park. So this is where the hard part comes in, and I need to figure this out eventually. But yeah, I actually did a thing in American Adventure. How exciting. So the Landmarks of American Miniature Golf is now open to hotel guests, and the arcade is now open for hotel guests as well. There's nothing in the arcade that actually pulls guests, because this is actually, technically speaking, outside the park. I actually just remembered, I should stick some spawn points out here just to add more spots for guests to spawn, because I have spawn points in the hotel. Then I have a spawn point over here, and I don't think there's anywhere else I would have spawn points yet. Yeah. So there you go. There's my miniature golf. If you guys, yeah, if you like to give a like and make a like on whatever it's called. Thank you guys for watching this video. Thank you to my Patreons for the continued support. If you want to support me on Patreon, you can. The link of the description will be below. Yeah, so the next project in American Adventure will probably be something water park related, hopefully. And I think I'm going to get back to the campaign levels first. And then I might have a surprise coming up in October of something else, another project I'm working offside. So keep your eyes out for that. But I'm glad to get back into this project after 2 years of hiatus. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next American Adventure. And thank you for watching. I'll see you guys then. Bye.